Today I'm going to be making what I call picture boards. I don't really know if there's a real name for it. It's basically a large length of wood, and you have your children's name across the top, and then you'll have kindergarten through 12th grade, and there'll be a clothespin attached for each one, and then every year you take their school photo and put it in the clothespin, and then you'll have all 13 grades of photos. It looks really nice when it's done. I've already made a set for me, for my kids. This set is going to be for my sister and her husband and their kids. So it's pretty simple. I'm going to mark out where the holes go, going to drill the holes, and then I have stencils for the letters. I probably should have got them out already. So these stencils here, you can buy any stencil you want. These ones turned out to be just the right size. I got lucky and didn't have to look around a lot. So you lay these down, and I experimented a lot with paint. I tried to get paint to work. So here's some of the ones that I tested with paint that it didn't work out. So I tested, this is pine. I had another piece of pine scrap wood. I stained it because I stained these, and then I was testing paint and different brushes and different types of paint, and every single type of paint that I tested bled outward underneath the stencil. What I ended up doing was using permanent marker. So I just found the middle of their name, put that in the middle of the board, and then I took chalk and kind of outlined the letter as best as I could, as chalk, and worked my way outward to make sure their name was centered. One name turned out to be right in the middle, the other one turned out way over this way, so I had to adjust a couple letters, wiped off all the chalk, tried again, it turned out a little far that way. Third time was a charm, I got the name right in the middle. So, chalk is easily removable, it's not permanent, and it allowed me to get their name right in the middle. So it did take a little bit of practice and a little bit of figuring out, but the permanent marker turned out to be the best solution for me. I don't think I tried spray paint. I made them a while ago. But if you're good with spray paint, that'll work for you. I know there's machines where you can cut out stencils. And so you can use like construction paper and cut out three names, first, middle, and last, out of 3 pieces of paper. It should cover the whole board and just spray paint the whole name. That'd be way faster than the way I'm doing it, but I know this way works. So I'm going to get started. The holes for the clothespins are going to be, the ones from the end are going to be 2 inches, and then every 3.5 inches after that, and then this one's going to be 2 inches from the end again. And then you have to have the holes, doesn't have to be 1/2 inch from the bottom. You can have them 1 inch, 3/4 of an inch, whatever you figure out. It depends on your width of board. My board is just over 7 inches, like 7 1/4 wide. And I got an 8-foot piece of lumber, and I had Home Depot cut it down to 46 inches. So each one's 46 inches. That's where the dimensions in between the clothespins come from. So if you have a longer piece of wood, you're going to need more space in between the clothespins. A smaller piece of wood really won't work out because then the photos will overlap. For the drill bit, I believe this is, I forgot what size this is, 7/64, and I wanted that because I chose these roofing nails. They got this nice wide flat head, and they're short enough not to poke through the back of the wood. So what I'm going to do is take a scrap piece of wood, and I'm going to drill this hole and make sure that I have the right drill bit before I start screwing up my nice wood. I want these to be able to push in with my thumb, kind of like a thumbtack, but not be pulled out. Okay, yeah. 7/64 is the right size. I can push it in with my thumb, and these roofing nails have these little ribs on there, so it's really hard to pull it back out. I didn't push it in all the way. But once it's in all the way and the clothespin's on there, it's pretty hard to get that nail back out. These roofing nails are 7/8 of an inch. Okay, before I stencil the letters on, I'm going to sand it, make sure it's all nice and smooth and ready for staining. So I'm going to sand it, stain it, get the letters stenciled out, put the clothespins on, put hardware on the back so you can hang it on the wall, and it's that easy. All right, I'm going to go over it with a couple more grits of sandpaper and then clean up all this sawdust, and we'll be back for staining. Okay, I've got my boards all sanded down. I'm ready to stain. What type of stain you use is really up to you. All right, now while I let that dry, I'm gonna clean this up. Then I'm gonna start working on my clothespins because I gotta drill holes in the clothespins to put the nails through. And then when I'm done with the clothespins, the stain will be dry, and then I can start on the stenciling, and I'm just about done. Alright, I'm back. My boards are dry. Before I start stenciling the letters on, I'm going to get these holes drilled in the clothespins real quick, get that knocked out. I'm going to use that same 7/64 drill bit because I don't want them to spin freely. I want them to be nice and snug. What I'm going to do when I'm looking at my clothespins is I'm going to try to pick the nice side to be facing you. So the bad side, like there's some knots and some burns, these are going to be the side that I drill the holes in because they're not going to be seen. So this side's got some more knots, some dark colored wood. This side's all pretty uniform. So for 2 boards I need 26 clothespins, I believe. Yeah, 26. That's not gonna work. So where I put the hole on the clothespin, if you turn it this way, halfway between the end of the clothespin and the spring, right in the middle there, that's where I'm aiming for my holes. They're going to move around a little bit, but you won't be able to tell once it's on the board. So those are ready. Okay, so now, wait a minute. Where'd you guys go? What'd you do? You hit a button, didn't you? Yeah, you hit a button on the computer. Changed everything down here. I had my toolbox over there. You guys were over there. Now you're over there. The window was here. What'd you do? Hit the button again. I'm just kidding. I moved. So, I got the board stained up, and the next step I was going to do was stencil them with the chalk and use permanent marker once I got the stencils where I wanted them. In the process of doing that, I dragged my hand across the marker and made a massive mess, which did not come off with rubbing alcohol and did not come off with nail polish remover. So that didn't work. I had to resand the one face of the board and restain it. And then, like I said, I moved. So what I did this time was cut these stencils out. This is one name per stencil on a Cricut machine, not my Cricut machine, and I don't have one. And I taped them with newspaper, so there's no exposed board. And I'm gonna spray paint the name, and I'm expecting this to go very well. So I'm gonna spray paint this twice. I'm gonna do it once, real light, and let it dry a good day, and spray paint it again. And then I have another stencil. This one is all the numbers that will go below each name. And I only have one of these because we ran out of this card stock. So once this is all completely dry and done, I'll rip all the newspaper off and the stencils, and I'll only be able to do one board at a time. Spray paint that twice, let it dry, do the other board, which is right below it. Spray paint that twice, let it dry. Then all that's left to do is put the clothespins on, put the hardware on the back so you can hang it on the wall, and it's ready to go. Okay, so looking at how much spray paint, how light, oh. Sorry about that. So looking at how light the spray paint actually went on and how much wood I can actually see through the black, I think it might take more than 2 coats. I'm not going to show you guys those. I'll just skip to the part where the names are done and I'm getting to the letters or the numbers, and then I'll go from there. All right, a lot has happened in the last 1 second since you last saw me. The black that I spray painted, I came back down a couple hours later, was not soaking into the wood at all. So I'm assuming that the stain sealed the wood really good and prevented the paint from soaking in. So I had to blot the black off, and then I used a primer and then a black, and it worked great. The problem was the stencils were bowed. Some were flat, and then another section would be bowed in the middle. So I'll put some pictures up on the screen right now. The black had gotten underneath the stencil, and there was like shadowing and overcast. So I had to resand the whole thing and start all over again. And I didn't have the same stain. Well, I had some, but I didn't have enough of that stain to restain them the same color. So I sanded the whole thing and went with tung oil this time because I had some tung oil. I actually think they looked better. And then I put the stencils back on, and I used some of these sticks. I have a bunch of these. I think they're like meat skewers or something. I don't know. I got a bunch of them. So I put them in between all the letters and put some wood down on it to compress the stencils as flat as I could. I got some more pictures of that I'll put up on the screen. So that turned out pretty good. There was a little bit of overcast and like shadowing and stuff. I don't think it's horrible. At least it's consistent. It almost looks like it was intentional. I can't get it any better than that, so I'm just going to leave it at that. This time, I've got the numbers put on, and I'm going to use some old wrenches that I don't need to hold them down. And then these sections in between, like the O has this, you know, a void in it. I'm just going to use a skewer or a stick to hold that down and try to do one number at a time, like the 6, the 5, do one number at a time. I'm going to go through with the primer, let that dry, go through with the black paint, let that dry, take this off, and we'll see how that goes. So I'm going to get started. Alright, I've finished up with the numbers. They turned out really well. So, you know, just be careful when you're doing your spray painting and it'll turn out okay. Now is the easy part. We're going to put the clothespins on. So before you put them on, make sure you sand off all the splinters from the holes. And to put these on, so the hole in the back, you're just going to want to split the clothespin like that so you can get to the hole. Put the nail through it. That's really tight. Might be something wrong with this nail, or I need the bigger size drill bit. Alright, well I can't get it to go through by hand, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hammer it in that way, and then I'll show you how to finish it off. Okay, once it's in far enough that you can straighten it back out, you don't have to. You can leave the clothespin sideways like that, but you can straighten it out, and you can either use a soft hammer or you can put a block of wood there with a regular hammer, because a regular hammer will leave dents in the clothespin. That one cracked. So I'm going to have to take that off. I might need to go a little bit bigger with the drill bit. That could have just been a bad clothespin, I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit bigger with these drill bits, so I don't crack any more clothespins off. Alright, I'll be right back. Alright, I drilled all these holes a little bit bigger. These holes in the clothespins are now 1/8. These holes in the boards are 7/64. These nails now should slip right through. So they go all the way through. So there's no chance of cracking the wood now unless the wood already had a crack there to begin with. So again, when you put these in, make sure you use a soft hammer so you don't put dings in your wood, or you can put a block of wood on the clothespin and then hit it with a regular hammer. There. I'm going to knock all these out and then I'll show you the finished product. Alright, we're all done. Well, actually, we have to put hardware on the back. Forgot about that. So, make sure your clothespins are hanging off the edge of your table or bench or whatever you're using. I like these clips called sawtooth hangers. That way you don't have to get the nail or screw in the wall exactly on whatever little triangle or hook you have. So I put these, I believe I measured 32 inches from center to center and centered them in the board. And then they come with these little nails, you just nail them in. And then the other great thing about these clips is there's this little dot right in the middle. So what you do is you hang your board up where you want it, make sure it's level and everything, and then you just push on it a little bit, pound it with your palm a little bit, and then this circle leaves an indentation in your drywall. So when you take it down, you know where to put the nail or the screw. Then you don't have to be guessing. But the reason I went 32 inches on center is because studs are supposed to be 16 inches on center. Not all houses are. Some are crooked, so you might get lucky and hit a couple studs. More than likely you won't, so use drywall anchors if you want to, but you don't have to. They're not very heavy. So I'm going to put these on later, and then I'll show you what these look like finished. And that's it. So there was a lot of mistakes made, but good thing about woodworking is there's no accidents. Everything is fixable. You can glue it back together. You can sand it and start over. You can fix it. So that's the great thing about woodworking. All right, I'm going to show you what these look like now.